Everyone, we're back, and I'm here with Carl from Celsius, who is, some of you might remember towards the end of last year, we announced that together with Celsius, Chainlink, and Polygon, we're working on a very exciting project. So, Carl, why don't you quickly introduce the arm of Celsius that is building this project, and then we can maybe talk about what you're actually building.
Sure. Hey everyone, it's really nice to be here. Thank you, Mona. My name's Carl. I'm the chief architect here at Celsius, and today the topic will be for CelsiusX, which is the DeFi arm of Celsius, and we have a very exciting partnership with Enzyme that will be released sometime in the late February, and we're essentially building infrastructure for the DeFi ecosystem cross-chain.
Awesome. So, Carl, let's take a zoom in on that. I know you brought a slide or two that you want to share with us. Can you share your screen and give us the high level pitch on what Celsius is building? And then I'm going to play, like I'm really new to this, and I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions to try and figure out, make sure everything's really clear to the audience.
Sure, sure. Let's dive right in.
Cool.
Can you see this?
Yep.
All right, so there's two products that CelsiusX is launching. The first one is a centralized liquidity bridge to start. But as you can see in this diagram, there's also a portion which shows it's a decentralized bridge as well, right? So that's the first product. The second product is that we will be bootstrapping the DeFi ecosystem with wrap token liquidity cross-chain, right? Because we understand that today in the blockchain world, the friction in which the liquidity moves cross-chain is just way too much. It's very difficult for users to use. There's not enough transparency. There's not enough accountability, right? So in this diagram, it depicts how CelsiusX and Celsius jointly would wrap tokens to various blockchains, and the first target chain is Polygon. So Mona, fire away.
Okay, awesome. So there's a lot happening in this diagram. Why don't you walk us through the step? Can you say which two assets you're launching with already?
Yeah. So the initial three assets we'll be launching with is ADA, Cardano, Doge, and ETH. And how this works is it's going to take a phased approach on how we decentralize this, right? Because decentralization really is a multi-dimensional effort, and we want to launch this product as soon as possible. So what we will do is we'll start off using the Celsius backend as a centralized bridge similar to Binance.com. However, this will have the state-of-art transparency that has never been used before. So how this works really is Celsius would deposit, for example, in this particular case, wrapped ETH into Enzyme Vault. And what
Okay,
what this
wait. Let's start a step before that. I'm the
sure,
user. I'm a user, and I hold Cardano tokens, right? So or
right.
Doge coins, right? So what am I doing? I'm coming to Celsius website.
Right,
Um,
right. So we have a web app and mobile app, and you would sign up with Celsius and you would deposit your native coins, in this case, Doge, ADA, or ETH. We could probably use ETH as an example.
okay.
And so users will come to Celsius, they will deposit ETH with us, and they will be given the choice. It's very low complexity from the user side. They will they can withdraw, and in this particular case, they will get to choose whether they want to go on Polygon or Ethereum. And this diagram depicts what happens on the back end, right? So
Okay. So amazing. So you're offering users, in very simplistic terms, you're offering users a quick way to transfer between chains, with Celsius being kind of like a hybrid CFI DeFi intermediary.
right.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
and as of today, we are launching with a centralized bridging. And on the right part of this diagram, you can see in the near future, we're going to launch a decentralized version of bridging so that we can both capture CFI users and DeFi users.
Nice. Okay, cool. And talk to me about, so what happens after I deposit the Doge? How do I know that my Doge is safe? What are you doing with that Doge? Am I guaranteed to be able to redeem against that? Where does, I'm sure that's all in that diagram, but maybe you can walk us through those steps.
Right. So for Ethereum native assets, we would deposit the assets into Enzyme Vault, which is part of the Enzyme universe, right? So we will be able to account the coins in real time, 24/7. Then what we would do is we also have a partnership with Chainlink. What they help us do is they have this decentralized oracle that does not provide price, but provides the type of the number of coins that are locked inside a vault. In this particular case, it's the Enzyme vault. So we would deposit users' funds into Enzyme, and Chainlink would broadcast that data in real time over to Polygon, and the proof of reserve adapter is integrated into the wrap token contract directly, so that builds two things, right? Transparency and accountability. Because at any given time, as a matter of fact, we have a website that's pulling from the blockchain in real time, will show our collateralization ratio, right? In this case, it will be 1-to-1 backed. And the accountability part is, initially, we're not going to be able to mint any wrapped token unless we are under, well, we're at least 1-to-1 backed, right? In the near future, what we'll also introduce is what I call the isomorphic proof of reserve, meaning that not only we're broadcasting data from Ethereum blockchain to Polygon or any target blockchain, we will also have a feedback from the target chain to keep ourselves accountable, so that we can never withdraw the assets from the Enzyme vault unless, after the withdrawal, we will still have sufficient collateralization ratio.
That's such a good explanation. Thanks, Carl. So you have user being able to transport between chains very seamlessly and easily, starting with Polygon. You have Enzyme Vault designed to give complete transparency and to be able to give you that on-chain data that you need to ensure that you can at any one time see what is in the vault, and ensure that the wrapped asset is backed one for one with the underlying. And then you have Chainlink in the equation, basically publishing the proof of reserve on Polygon and in future other chains. And essentially what you're achieving here is twofold. You're giving users an easy way to port liquidity over from one chain to another. But the other really interesting side of this that I don't think you've touched on yet is users are, for the first time, going to have wrapped Doge and wrapped ADA on Ethereum that wasn't previously easily accessible. So, I liked when you described this the first time we spoke as like you basically are going to become the cross-chain liquidity provider. Can you elaborate a little bit on that and what the future vision is, where you want to be sort of 2 years from now?
Yeah, so the whole thesis is based on the belief that the end users should not worry about what blockchain they're on, right? We should only think about what currency that you hold and what applications you're interfacing with. And today, the non-fungibility of tokens across various blockchains, for example, in the Solana ecosystem, is a real disadvantage to kind of reduce the friction of these liquidity movements. Now with Celsius, we are a centralized entity, though we deploy heavily into DeFi. And if the whole thesis is, if we can help the entire ecosystem to reduce the friction in which we move liquidity, then overall it will be another contribution to the vibrant community, right? So the vision really here is that we're actively partnering up with various DeFi protocols to bring adoption to these wrap tokens. But then again, at the end of the day, we believe the community should own this whole infrastructure, right? So though
Mhm.
we're bootstrapping this ecosystem with a centralized bridge, but really the vision is to bring this whole set of infrastructure into a decentralized world, so that when users want to move across chain, they rely on these decentralized bridges without worrying about, hey, is this token sufficiently collateralized. For example, one of the things there is that the existing bridging architecture that's used by various protocols are by definition capital inefficient, right? Because there's two things. You have to lock up tokens on various endpoints of the bridge. So as more blockchains come out, there's going to be more and more tokens be locked up. That's one. And two, you're not, even with the locked up capital, you're not able to deploy these in a safely manner. So we believe two things. We want to reduce the friction in which we move the liquidity, and two is to be able to generate yield from the tokens that are locked in the Enzyme vault. And that's kind of the overall idea of how we want to mechanize this ecosystem.
Okay, great. So, Carl, I'm seeing a couple of questions flashing on the screen, which I want to get to right after this question. Can you summarize, like, in a nutshell, why are you doing this?
Oops.
How? Oh,
did I just close the here? Let me.
Just the screen disappeared. Did you have another slide?
No.
Okay.
Here we go.
Cool. Like, maybe you can just quickly summarize for us, why are you doing this? How did the idea come about? What do you do? Why are you doing it? Like, what's the...
Yeah, I briefly touched on this. Is two parts. Is today, for Celsius as a centralized entity, the easier it is to move liquidity cross chain, it is easier. It will help our users generate more yield at the end of the day indirectly, right? Because the yield that we pay out are largely generated from various sources, and we noticed that it's very difficult to move funds across chain safely in a transparent way, right? There are various bridges out there, but very few bridges have we don't have the confidence to move hundreds of millions of dollars in one shot, right? So that's a lot of friction there. And we also believe why we're doing this is that if we can do this to help ourselves and the community at the same time, I think it's overall it's a net benefit to the entire ecosystem. That's one. And two, we believe in capital efficiency, right? Today, when we move funds across chain, we notice that on both ends they're locked up, so you're not able to deploy the native coins in a safe manner. There are protocols that are coming out with more advanced capability, but we believe the right partner here is Enzyme, because Enzyme allows for essentially a decentralized version of Celsius to manage your assets. So I think with these two goals in mind, we believe that having such a system in place will help bootstrap the liquidity across all the blockchains.
Yeah, I'm so happy that we have you presenting. We've also heard from Unslashed, Crypto Simple, and we've got a couple more projects presenting later. But I think the exciting thing is today, when we opened up the conference, I presented Enzyme as the DeFi operating system. And the point I was trying to get across is you can build anything related to asset management on top of Enzyme. It doesn't have to just be a fund. And I think that you, with a simple diagram and this brilliant idea, I think have just demonstrated how different innovative ideas, something that could just start off as an idea, can turn out into a completely new product that's solving a problem for multiple different stakeholders in the ecosystem. I want to shift quickly. I'm going to try and squeeze in a couple of questions because I'm seeing there's a lot of a lot of them coming on the screen. I'm just going to read out. We've had two questions on fees. How much is CelsiusX going to charge on transaction fees? I'm going to let you choose which of these three questions to answer because we won't have time for all of them. Another one is how much liquidity is Celsius trying to bring? Have you been speaking to other DeFi protocols and AMMs about liquidity or market makers about liquidity? Oh God, there's more. I'll stop there and then I'll do a second round of questions because I'm seeing them just flying through the screen. You pick one that you like, Carl.
Yeah.
I'll get you to answer the others in writing later and we'll post them to the group.
Yeah, so let's talk about fees, right? I'm not a big fan of fees in the sense that it has to make sense, right? So largely CelsiusX today is very busy, heads down, just executing, trying to, we're going to bring up this entire infrastructure, right? Initially, there will be no fees. And even with the centralized bridge, Celsius does not charge fees for withdrawal. That means there's no withdrawal fee. And as a matter of fact, that's one of the biggest advantage that Celsius has is it's a community thing. There is that there's other places we can generate yield, right? We're not charging end customers fees. So to answer that particular question is that when you use the Celsius backend, when you sign up, when you wrap tokens, and even if you want to redeem the wrap token, which is one-to-one redeemable for retail, real time, there are other solutions out there which does not allow you to redeem the wrapped asset for the underlying, right? In this particular case, when you redeem and you want to go back to Doge, you want to go back to Cardano, or even maybe you just want to unwrap the ETH, there will be no fee charged, so it's completely free. Now, in the distant future, when we're building out the more advanced features, for example, there are already some of the more advanced features implemented in the wrapped contract, such as flash loan. Those we might charge a fee, but the intention there is to build out the decentralized infrastructure in the form of a DAO, right? So that's as far as fees concerned. Today we have no plans to charge fees. We're just busy executing. And what was the other question? Oh, liquidity. So the initial launch will be on Polygon. We have a partnership with QuickSwap. On day one, we will have pools stood up, and we believe now, like the market is changing all the time, we believe the yield will be very attractive for users who hold Doge and ADA and even ETH. And the idea there is we want to bootstrap this entire ecosystem.
Wow, this
So
is news to me too. So, you've
right.
been working on some more stuff behind the scenes. You've got the liquidity providers lined up, and they'll be part of your launch.
Yeah, and it will be significant in the hundreds of millions, or maybe a little less or a little more. So
Amazing, cool. There's a couple more longer questions, and I don't think we're going to have time, and a short question. So, short question: who's going to be paying the enzyme gas fees? I think that's Celsius, right?
correct. We will be operating in such a model that it will allow us to minimize the fees. Remember, Celsius holds large quantity of assets. What we do is we won't be minting and burning in real time, right? We would keep a surplus of the tokens in our custodian, and when retail users come and want to withdraw onto the Polygon blockchain, we would give them the surplus that we already have, and it will do a weekly or bi-weekly mint or burn based on the demand.
Very cool.
So there's no fee to the user.
This is exciting. I think we can squeeze one more question in. How are you planning to keep the users' deposits locked in Enzyme vaults? Users can redeem anytime. I don't understand the mechanism that will allow a vault to be used as a bridge.
Yeah, so it's a two-phased approach. Initially, you will be depositing the tokens with Celsius. So Celsius holds these tokens, and we will then deposit into Enzyme, which then again is fact-checked by Chainlink's proof of reserve. In the future, when we release the decentralized version of this infrastructure, we will deposit the ERC20 tokens through the collateral manager contract, which then again, the collateral manager would use Enzyme as its vault, and the collateral manager would, which is a smart contract or a set of smart contract, will then hold the user's token. So in this particular case, since you're interfacing with the smart contract, it will keep itself accountable, right? So it will lock the tokens in the Enzyme vault. And since the user owns the ultimate right to these tokens, user can request cross-chain transactions from Polygon for the tokens to be withdrawn.
I have to ask this, Carl, because we've seen so much interest on this chat. I think more questions than we've seen in any other talk today. How can people, I think you mentioned an end of Feb launch is your target date. How can people stay in touch with the latest updates on this particular product? Do you have a special Twitter for this product, or is there a distribution list or something?
Yeah, we do. We have our website, CelsiusX.io. and part of the system is already online. There's a reserve that's being posted. If you would like to get in touch with us, we have this email address here. It's X, just one letter, X, at Celsius.network.
Amazing. And I'm just posting your YouTube video, which you released at the end of last year, which is a great watch for anyone who wants more information.